There's so much to talk about with this lawsuit, and it's really amazing to me. Actually, let me back up. When this starts to pick up, and now that we know that it's getting traction, it's getting momentum, I'm gonna really be curious to see how John is portrayed in the media. Because, as we said, as Kaylee and I said, he is opening up a can of worms that is just incomprehensible to even his enemies. like it is going to get so bad for him. Let's say for a second. Let's say we live in an imaginary world of wizards and science fiction and dragons, and there's a judge who thinks John has a case. Even if that is possible, there's going to be a period of discovery and a period of arguing, and throughout those periods of arguing, before he gets a scent, he's going to have to admit to so many terrible things that it's going to be hilarious because he has so many enemies and so many people that hate him. So why he thinks this is a good idea is literally a meta view of himself being stupid.
Luigi, can I ask you?
It's so weird.
As an attorney, Honky and me had this conversation a little bit earlier, again, like on Tuesday with BYB, and we had talked about how, John should be able to make money on his own name. If he can't make money, it doesn't make sense that other people should be able to make money on it. I understand that argument completely. But, I mean, again, devil's advocate, kind of seeing it from the other side, what do you think about Carl and Shuli destroying Melendez's good name? Now he can't make money with it due to the damage that's been done.
I don't think that this case will ever actually even make it to that argument because there's so much in front of that. And what's in front of that is, did they actually do anything that violated law? So that's going to be the way that this process is going to go, in which we have to first demonstrate that they did something that, I'm sorry, let's back up.
You're talking about law, though. This is civil, I thought, right?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
is he really going for like the lawsuit? Or he's
right.
trying to put him in jail. That's not the goal. That's
no. The facts. I'm talking about the facts that we have to establish. John had a good name. We have to establish that Carl and Shuli did something that had an effect on that good name, and that then also that effect turned into dollars that caused John to suffer. So there's a chain of events here that all has to get proven. It's not something that you can just go in and say, and there are so many different laws leading up to an analysis and then to a judgment that will have to determine that. And I just don't think we're ever going to get there because there's so many reasons why that first step fails. Does he have a good name? No. And we're going to tell you why. Charl and Shuli are going to say, the only reason we were doing this was because he's such a terrible human being. And
exactly.
By being a terrible human being, we have evidence of it. And so here's the evidence of him not having a good name. And guess what that evidence is? He's been accused of SA. He's been accused of having a cancer charity. He's been accused of being a deadbeat dad. Oh, wait a minute. That's actually been proven in court. Then that's our evidence. Then we also have evidence of him challenging Patrick Melton's house to a fight. Then we have evidence of him saying he's going to go to this event and beat everyone up. Then we have evidence of him challenging 7 people to a fight in one evening, one after another, in a boxing match. Then we have evidence of him making threats. Then we have evidence of him calling Shuli's father and telling and putting it on the air. Then we have, I think you get my point.
Yeah.
Well, and then I think I heard John saying that he knew Kate was recording, so he was just saying things that he didn't mean.
Here is the thing. That will never get brought up in the courtroom. I'm sorry. It's not going to get brought up as evidence. Because like you said, there's a difference between a civil matter and a criminal matter. By him making the distinction that these were illegal, first off, I would challenge that he is guilty of perjury because he is in fact lying that they were illegal because there's been no determination of legality whatsoever. He reported this. There were no charges filed. The FBI did not pursue them. The police did not pursue them. So that would really lead one person to suggest that there was nothing illegal about it because nothing got done. So for him to say that it's illegal, that's a lie because he knows better. And that's what maybe if somebody had a bug up their ass and wanted to be mean to John, might say to a judge.
Anytime an attorney tells you, like you just said, get scared.
Yep. And
like
also,
you just said,
but also, there's that has no relevance whatsoever. that belongs in a court. That should be in a court to keep it interesting. That has no bearing whatsoever on right to publicity. Right to publicity is using his image. What does the legality or the alleged threats made to the person holding these this audio have anything to do with someone making money off of his image? It's completely irrelevant and has no bearing on a judgment whatsoever. And if someone told him that he should have wrote that in there, first off, a lawyer didn't do that because a lawyer would not be that stupid. So I'm going to guess either John wrote this himself or there was some sort of associate or employee that wrote this because it's terrible. It is incoherent. It's absolute babblygook nonsense.
31 pages.
Of only 2 points made. Right. Someone, was...
Couches.
I mean, and that's another thing. Completely irrelevant. I get that he's trying to provide some substantive suggestion that they have an interest in him. I get that, but he did it so wrong. He's saying they stole from me, and there's a part in that lawsuit that specifically claims, again, I think perjury, specifically claims that they trespassed his home to steal it. But then again, like you just said, a good lawyer would say, but didn't you just say you discarded it?
It's government property if it's on the curb.
It's not just government property. It doesn't belong to John. He admits that it doesn't belong to me anymore, but they broke into my house to steal something I threw out. John, you're dumb. You are stupid, and words are your worst enemy.
What I think happened is that John went to Groupon and got his lawyer, and he got civil and he got at the same time. So he got like a 2-for-1 deal, buy one get one free. So
I got him.
Both. Yeah.
Okay, now Gummi, I know you're joking. But let me tell you the history of John's lawyers.
Can you get lawyers on Fiverr?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Something like that. He went to Fiverr or.
Michael Popak was the only legitimate lawyer that he's ever gotten that actually had credibility as an attorney.
10 minutes.
We actually know for a fact that John was a member of Legal Shield for a long time. He has posed as an attorney in other people's DMs, specifically saying it was with Revenge of the Cis, used his own X account to make a legal threat using Vince's name to the Revenge of the Cis guys, saying, I'm an attorney for John Melendez. Now, again, under the account of John Melendez, says, I'm an attorney for John Melendez, cease and desist using any of his, I forget what it was that he specifically said, but it was basically because they were making fun of him. He didn't want them using any of his audio. And signs it Vincent and Bessie under the John Melendez account. Yes, so he doesn't mind lying. That's the thing. You got to remember this. He doesn't mind lying, and he thinks that people are as stupid as he is. And then with the Legal Shield thing, he would send out his own cease and desist that he got from Legal Shield. But then we found out also that Legal Shield has an attorney referral program. So about a year ago, when DabbleCon started picking up speed, a couple of people in our world started getting phone calls from lawyers. And a couple of them asked me to look into the lawyers. And I said, guess what? This guy is part of the Legal Shield referral program. Who do you think hired him? And then I think this is out there. Shuli got a cease and desist letter from one of these Legal Shield attorneys. And it was a cease and desist that quoted California law sent to Shuli in Alabama. I looked at it and I said, Shuli, here's what you got to do. You got to call this guy and say,
stop laughing.
Yeah.
Catch your breath.
Shuli, yeah, I told him, call this guy and ask this one question. Why would this apply to me? And he did laugh. He calls the lawyer and says, well, let me ask you something after the guy gives his whole speech. Why would this apply to me? I don't live in California. And the guy goes, the guy just wants you to stop. Will you stop?
It's supposed to be scary and you're supposed to stop.
And he said, no. So then he gets another cease and desist. Then we find out that the cease and desist that he gets from this guy is actually a family friend and a referral doing it pro bono. So then Shuli asked my opinion. I tell him a couple of things. Shuli goes back to him and says, what does he want? And the guy says, he wants you to stop talking. He goes, okay, well, let me play you some audio. Play some audio of John making threats against Shuli's children. The lawyer says, let me call you back. On the air.
He didn't call back.
Well, on the air, John takes a phone call. Like literally there was 20 minutes of dead air. He goes, hold on, I got to take a call. Comes back and says, I apologize. And just keeps going. And then Shuli gets a call back and says, look, he agrees. He's not going to do this anymore. He goes, okay, let's see how long that lasts. It lasts about 3 days. and Shuli simply texts this lawyer and says, hey, remember that thing that John said he wasn't going to do anymore? He's doing it right now. Here's a link. So then we hear that apparently that guy sends out a notice that says, I no longer represent John Melendez. So then Shuli gets another cease and desist letter, and he asks me to look up the lawyer, and I say, of course, it's a Legal Shield lawyer. And then when you Google this, not that this really has any bearing on the lawyer, but when you Google this law firm's law firm on it was either Yelp or Google reviews, they had a review for their law firm for having the best biscuits in town.
The buffet at the strip club is top notch.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to hold that against the law firm, but it's perfect for John. That is just a quick summary of what John thinks good legal representation is. Now, I just find it so hard to believe that this can possibly be any different than the long line of pioneers of law in the John Melendez camp. This just can't be any different. So when I read this, I read it with a very skeptical eye and thinking, this is someone who is not taking a fee. This is someone who just simply got hooked up with John. This is just another one of his get poor quick schemes by using a lawyer. And when you read it, it all just falls in line. And you think, this is someone who is not invested in John's case. This is not someone who gives a shit about John. And in fact, I have a theory that I think I know what's going on. And I think John got trolled and was made to look a fool by some people behind the scenes.
Telling him to do it.
telling him to do it all completely wrong.
I feel
My
like
theory.
John sitting on his couch with a punch card. He's like, 2 more lawsuits. I got a free 6-inch meatball sub from Subway.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's really crazy. And if you just look at it with an eye of
Anyone.
well, yeah, okay,
With the brain.
Basically, I mean, I'm nowhere near a lawyer or anything, and I did look through this, and like you mentioned, Luigi, it's 30 pages of 2 points. He used my likeness, he broke the law doing it, and he broke the law doing other things to harass me. And he wants $600K for it. One is for damages, like financial damages, and the other one is for I forget how they say it, but like emotional damage and stuff and trauma.
Punitive damage.
Punitive, thank you. That was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
And that's gonna become tissue paper here in a week or two when the judge looks at it. He's just gonna blow his nose and throw it away.
I waited 3 days when it came out because it was so bad. When I first saw it and read through it, I'm like, this isn't real. And then CORNdiff read it and it's like, no, it's real. And then I saw Stevie Lee put out a link to it, and it went to the actual site. I'm like, this is really looking real. And then you and Kaylee read through it. Kaylee pulled it up from the site that she actually works from and knows about. I'm like, this is freaking real. So that's when I wrote the story. But like, yeah, once you guys went through, because just like you said, a lawyer couldn't have written this. Like,
No.
all I can think is he wrote like a diagram out, or maybe he wrote it out and then the lawyer stamped it. Like, how does a lawyer, how does an intern, an associate, whatever, the law paralegal reading this lets it go through, lets it be submitted?
The same person who misspells their own name.
So
And-
you think it's the paralegal and not the actual tabber?
Yeah, I do. And like, what's crazy is that the first thing that so many people without a legal background or legal education noticed was that it's not clear what's going on. And despite the fact that lawyers have a reputation for being verbose or grandstanding or trying to use big words, when you're trying
Legalese.
yeah, exactly. When you're trying to convince a judge of something, it's the exact opposite. You want to be very concise, very direct, and make your point fast, quick, and get out of there. That's not what's going on here. That's just not. And you could tell that people were having trouble understanding what's he even talking about. What's this have to do with anything? Why include irrelevant facts? Now, something we haven't talked about, though, and like Kaylee and I did discuss on Monday, the biggest point, the biggest nuclear bomb part of this is the jurisdiction. I don't understand how that mistake was made. That's part of
He filed suit in New York instead of California, right? Where it would be illegal. Or
Is it Rochester?
Okay,
the
correct.
wrong
Rochester.
county. The wrong.
Where
He
it took
filed it in
place.
the wrong county. It's 350 miles away.
Yeah.
He filed it in
New York County.
He filed it in the Manhattan County as opposed to Monroe County, where all of the events actually occurred.
Close enough.
Right on the cusp of the statute of limitations deadline.
It's
Let's
part
put
of
it
his
this
strategy,
tomorrow.
though.
He filed it closer to me than to Carl.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Carl and I live about 5 hours apart from each other.
But CORNdiff, no, it's not part of a strategy because it's dumb.
Like maybe
If
he knows a judge up there.
But that doesn't mean. But there's still an argument. The defendant is going to get an opportunity to argue this isn't the right jurisdiction. And when it gets kicked out, it's not a certainty, but there's a very good chance that when it gets kicked out, he won't get to refile it because the statute of limitations is told.
Which is hilarious.
Exceptions can be made. I'm not going to say that with any certainty. And honestly, I'm going to probably even say 51% he might possibly still have the ability to do it. But it's not a certainty. But the fact that mistake got made, I find it so hard to believe. This guy's been a lawyer longer than I have, although several of those years were spent in prison. He should know better. So I honestly have a theory that I think John was sabotaged for the sake of content.
Wow.
It's my
Not surprised to me.
but I can't prove it. I'm being, I think there's enough evidence there to lead someone to believe that if you have a legal mind and you can see what's going on.
How much does it cost to defend yourself from something like this? How
It's not going to be
much do you think
cheap.
Shuley and Mill have to spend? Like in the tens of thousands? I'm not trying to get into their business, but I mean, how
No, I
shitty is it that
understand.
they have to spend this? You know what I mean?
It depends how far it goes. And truthfully, it should not go beyond a motion to dismiss. It shouldn't. And what that means is that you have to file a response within 30 days, and then you file what's called a motion to dismiss, which basically says, hey, I'm the defendant on this. This person filed this. There's a specific set of rules that have to be satisfied for this to be a valid lawsuit, and I think it fails on this reason and this reason and this reason. That can really take a lot of time to write. I think it's worth writing because it will knock it out early. But we're probably looking at like low double-digit numbers. I'm sorry, low double digits of thousands.
That's a lot.
I honestly think, though, that you have the right to ask for anything, of course. Whether or not it's granted is a different story, but I think that they should ask the judge that John be responsible for their legal fees should he lose. So I think that's something they should ask for.
Yeah.
I agree.
Sounds like they would likely get it.
I hope. And we're going to go deeper into this on Monday, analyzing it the way we did on last Monday. But
Also, you can
I'm
tell
so shocked
if-
by
sorry.
this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You can tell if John wrote the letter, the lawyer letter. Like, if you look at the bottom, and like if Esquire is like spelled phonetically with a UH, like Esquire. John wrote it.
These used to have to be done in pen before typewriters, and John's probably John's
John
pen.
has the pen.
I was gonna say John's pen would probably, like, when he fell asleep after a few beers, would probably just scroll right across the piece of paper. Rumble Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast. Thank you so much for the $10. Do you think whoever's trolling SJ filed so close to the wrong? I think you're picking up what I'm laying down here, Rumble Trenchcoat. So close to the deadline in the wrong jurisdiction on purpose. That way SJ can claim he would have won and blame his lawyer for losing so he can save face.
Don't give him any ideas.
I think you're picking up what I'm putting down here, but I believe there's an alternative theory in that since John is so dumb and that he believes, I don't want to say he believes. I'm going to say evidence would suggest, his past behavior would suggest that he believes that everyone else in the world is just as scared as he is at the legal process. I think there's another possibility, and again, totally unsubstantiated theory, that he knows this isn't going to work, but he thinks that while he has the power within the statute of limitations, that he would try to scare Shuley and Carl to make content for himself because his YouTube time limit is running out. And I think there's just a possibility he's going to come back and just say, they were so scared and they had to spend all that money. I knew I wasn't going to win. You think I would file it in the wrong jurisdiction? There's so many. It's like putting a puzzle together where none of the pieces fit. In other words, a moron did this. A moron put all this together. I don't. There's so many things that just can't be answered. Choices they made just don't make sense. They just don't make sense. And I don't see Mr. Benedict taking this on for pro bono beyond this first amended complaint. Because when he actually has to start putting work into this for a guy who's trying to build a business after being in prison, I don't see him saying we have the resources to devote to your nonsense, John, for no money. We are trying to build a business here. Just my thoughts. And I mean, there's just so much. There's so much to put together. Donna G, thank you. Thank you for the 1999. Thank you so much. Love your SJ LOLsuit theories. Keep doing the Lord's work. Have a great show, boys. Thank you so much. I've really been overwhelmed by all of the positive feedback that we have gotten. The video with Kaylee is at 9,800 views, I believe.
Hell yeah. A banger.
Yeah, good job. Good job.
Thank you. I am shocked. And when you know that we were literally just like 30 minutes before talking about doing it, it makes it all the crazier. But I got to really hand it to her. She is smart. She's really, really smart. And I really tried to make it clear to the audience that as an attorney, it's not so bizarre to see a paralegal being the real brains behind the operation. And I think that's really what she is. And
I mean, that's like doctor nurse. Pretty
I was just going to say the same thing, Gummi. Doctor nurse. Yep.
And I saw some chat, some shithead chats saying she's not a lawyer. Well, guess what? When it comes down to it, and I have to defer to either my brain or her brain making a decision, I trust that she'd probably make the better decision. So there you go.
And it's her state that she's doing law in.
It's her state.
My question to you.
Yeah, she has the experience. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. What's the next step? Like, are we waiting for the judge to read it and then be like, okay, we're going to take this, or does it go through a process? Like, what's next?
The next step of the process is that now that Shuli and Carl have been served, they have to file a response within 30 days. So we're not going to get any news on this for the next 30 days. And that response is very basic. It just says, okay. It just says, I know that I'm involved in a lawsuit and I'm aware. And you have to file that. But then directly after that is going to be what's called a motion to dismiss, which is what a defendant will file to say, hey, there are rules, guidelines, laws that all have to be satisfied and fulfilled in order for a lawsuit to be declared a valid lawsuit. And here's why I don't think this lawsuit qualifies under those specific laws, and I think you should toss it out. Numero uno being personal jurisdiction. So, and then all the other nonsense that we talked about. John is dumb. John shouldn't legally be filing lawsuits because he's not an adult.
You just read it.
Yeah, read this. The lawyer misspelled his own name. Yeah, and my point of all saying all that history of John's lawyers is that this is just par for the course for John. He gets lawyers on favors or pro bono or part of a discount plan. And he doesn't learn from his mistakes ever. And this is just par for John. And there's nothing unusual about this when it comes to John's legal proclivities. Anyway.
I feel like the judge is going to send back John's paper with just like an F- in red pen.
Try again.
Yeah. I mean, he should.
John will turn into an A+. So you see, I passed.
He literally should. And the first argument in that motion to dismiss, of course, is going to be jurisdiction. It has to be. I mean, it just absolutely has to be the first argument you make. And without, saying with any certainty, there is a possibility that they turn in a 30-page argument and the judge looks at that first page of personal jurisdiction and goes, oh yeah, that's enough. Get the fuck out of here.
He won't even keep reading.
Yeah, why should I keep reading when this negates everything else that I'm going to read and makes it all a moot point because there's no lawsuit, because there's no jurisdiction.
Right.
Yeah. So that would be
and
great.
that's even before you get to the contradictory statements within the lawsuit, you know.
That's my point. Yeah. Like,
This is such a big mess.
it's like the judge might not even make it that far and just say no jurisdiction. Yeah, obviously, go file it over there. and again, I want to make this point. I don't think we've said this here. Is that John has, again, not John doesn't learn from his failures. John tried this before. He tried it and failed. The exact same cause of action, right of publicity. He filed that lawsuit with SiriusXM, and not only did it get kicked out, it got kicked out with prejudice, which means don't ever bring this back here.
You fail, you lose.
Not just you fail,
Right.
you've lost the opportunity to ever try again.
Wow.
It's like being expelled from school. Like you're not just suspended, you didn't just do something bad, you are not allowed on the premises anymore because you messed up so bad with this.
That's like
And
if
he's
someone
gonna-
cooks so bad, you confiscate their pot so they can never make another meal.
But he's going to try it again. And no lawyer would advise that. No, I'm sorry. No competent lawyer would tell him, okay, you lost terribly, very bad. Let's try this again. No, it doesn't work that way. So someone was in his ear using him like a toy. That's all it is. Someone was...
Vince.
I was trying not to mention the name.
Yep, that's what the suspicion is that it might have been Vince, but
Yeah. So there is a image. I do not know. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if there's anything true about it. But I've seen an image on the internet of John bragging to Vince in a text message that he finally got around to filing the lawsuit. And I can't give it any credence because I don't know if it's real. But if we do find out that there's any validity to it, I feel like that fills in all the holes we need.
We got him.
Yep. So
one more question about this. Can he file this weekend in Rochester in order to try to stay within the correct county of where the violation took place?
he would have to withdraw
Right.
his lawsuit in New York County, and that would negate it. That would most likely negate it, I'll say.
Okay.
So it's not a certainty, but basically he's pot committed at this point, and pulling out would just have no benefit. So why not roll the dice and see exactly what the outcome is? That wasn't a very that
Felicia.
that crossed my gambling metaphors, but I think wait for
I
the
know what you're trying to
river.
say.
Yeah, he's pot committed. You might as well wait for the river.
the turn, bitch.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is going to, regardless of win or lose, this is going to end up in severe embarrassment for John. Severe embarrassment, because you know what? I mean, we got to take it step by step. There's
That's
so
not
many
like
steps.
him.
Yeah, exactly. But we're really going to have a moment if it gets that far, which I don't think it will, honestly. But if it does get so far as to discovery, we get to ask him every question that he doesn't want to be asked. Did you really graduate from New York? From NYU? Did your son really creep in your
By
face?
house.
Did you really try to start a fight with Patrick Melton's house? Did you threaten Chad Zumach by taking off your shirt and putting on UFC gloves and slapping your fist? Did you? I mean, every horrible thing we get to ask. You say that we accused you of that we made fun of your transgender son. Can you please give us a description of your son and your daughter and your kids? Give us their ages. Tell us their names. Tell us their genders. Tell us their new gender. I mean, like, you get to mess with him in every way.
Yep.
Good luck, John. You're going to
Even
enjoy
ones
this.
like, did you ask Kevin Brennan to pay you under the table? Because he says you said shush when he wanted to give you your tax forms. You know, just
There
shit
you
like
go.
that.
And then you say that you're out $300,000. You don't get to just make up a number, dickhead. You got to show us how you lost that. So give us your W-2s. Substantiate that you lost $300,000. I'll wait. That's his stupid term. Fucking
I'll
idiot,
wait.
man. Yeah, I mean, just fucking. He's an idiot. He's a moron.
You know what's
And-
really funny?
yeah.
If it makes it to like a case study in like law school, his ego would be like, "Oh shit, I made it into a textbook." Like just the fact that he'd be like he'd have the document. They wrote a book about me, and he's just like a chapter in a legal textbook.
So, in another conversation that I had about this case, I said, when you file that motion to dismiss and you start making your substantive arguments, like not just the jurisdictional arguments, and you start making the substantive arguments about the facts and the law and the real issues at hand, the first thing you gotta cite to as case precedent is Melendez versus SiriusXM, 2022 New York Second Court of Appeals. That needs to be the first thing. So he gets cited against himself for failure.
Shows a pattern.
Shows a pattern, but also this has already been done before. It's like, you want a reason to not do this? The fact that this has already been adjudicated in a different court, a determination was made that this is a worthless case. Who were the parties of the case? Oh yeah, John Melendez. This guy. This is worthless. This is useless. This is as useless as John. So that's what I think. But yeah, and then today, Carl plays video of Heren saying, "Man, that case was really well written." Dude, if you think that is true, you need to be wearing a helmet more than I do.
Aaron knows what he's doing. $50 fine. He'll be fine.
We all know that a real expert of the law is Aaron Imholt. This guy obviously understands what the law entails.
Search him around.
Well, he did bang a lawyer's wife, so that should give him some credibility in the legal realm, right?
Yeah.
He's hoping Nick's knowledge of the law got transferred through his cum.
I'm a super lawyer now. And a stupid comment.
Yeah. I drank his jizz. He birthed a lawyer in me.
Yes.
You know what?
Oh, no.
Honestly, you know what Aaron did? He did not read it. Just like when I forgot who it was that trolled him into like saying another show spoke about him. He's like, yeah, and like he told the other show that he loved that they talked about him.
It was was it Mersh that did that, I think?
I don't remember who it was, but I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Same thing. So like, he knows there's a legal paper against the people he don't like. So he assumes that it's great without even reading it, and that's something
Aaron and John have in common. That as soon as they hear something they want to believe, it immediately becomes a fact in their mind.
And they're supervillains.
Yeah, and this is exactly what happened with John. I believe he got a little too wrapped up in thinking that he could sue them, much like Jurassic Park. He didn't think if he should sue them.
We will control all that you see and hear.
I want my planet back. I want my planet back. I want my planet back.
That's right, it sucks.